Hello students, I am Sunil Bakliwal. I welcome all of you to the online lecture series on flow of fluids from Pharmalife Academy. Pharmalife Academy is an academy for pharmacy and pharmacology. Under this topic, we shall study Introduction to Flow of Fluids, concept of manometer, types of manometers, Reynolds number and its significance, Bernoulli's theorem and its application, energy losses, orifice meter, venturimeter, pitot tube and rotometer. Today, in the first part of the series, we are going to cover Introduction to Flow of Fluids, concept of pressure and shear stress, units of pressure, concept of manometer. Students, if you think that this video lecture is helpful to you in your study, then please give us a like and subscribe to the channel Pharmalife Academy. Students, now let's begin with Introduction to Flow of Fluids. The study of flow of fluids is known as fluid mechanics. Fluid mechanics has two branches. First is fluid statics, that is also known as hydrostatics. It is the study of fluids at rest. And the second one is fluid dynamics. It is the study of fluids in motion. Students, you are pharmacy students, so why is it important for you to study flow of fluids? In pharmaceuticals manufacturing, most of the materials, including bulk drugs, are in the form of fluids. Therefore, fluid handling and their transportation are very important from pharmaceutical point of view. During handling, the behavior of fluid can have a strong effect on heat transfer processes, energy losses and or energy changes during pumping, etc. For a pharmaceutical engineer, it is very important to understand the nature of flow of fluids to design and construct the pipelines, channels and various other relevant equipment and infrastructure. Students, what is a fluid? Simply, anything that can flow is a fluid. Fluid is a substance that has no fixed shape and that undergoes a continuous change in shape when subjected to a shearing stress. Both gases and liquids are fluids. The liquids have definite volume and are incompressible. Gases are compressible and have less density than liquids. Solid in a fluidized condition is also considered as a fluid. Fluid is considered to be a mass of substance that is formed by a series of layers. Fluid deforms continuously under the action of an applied shear stress, and when the shear stress is removed, it will not bounce back to its original position. Shear stress is the force that acts parallel to the area. Shear stress is the force that acts parallel to the area. When subjected to a shearing stress, layers of the fluid slide relative to each other. Also, this flowing fluid exerts shearing stress on the pipeline. As we know, pressure is force per unit area. Shear stress is also the same, that is force per unit area. The difference between in these two is the direction of the force. In the case of pressure, the direction of the force is perpendicular to the area, that is, it is normal to the area. This is the force. In case of pressure, the force is normal or perpendicular to the area. While in the case of shear stress, the direction of the force is tangential or parallel to the area. Tangential or parallel to the area. Pressure of a fluid may be expressed as absolute pressure and gauge pressure. Absolute pressure is measured and reported relative to an absolute pressure of 0, that is absolute vacuum. Absolute vacuum, that means no atmosphere is present there, such as in space. Gauge pressure is measured and reported relative to the atmospheric pressure. Thus, absolute pressure is equals to the gauge pressure plus atmospheric pressure. Now, let's try to understand the concepts of absolute pressure and gauge pressure with the help of this diagram. In this diagram, this coordinate is absolute pressure of 0, that is the pressure of absolute vacuum. This coordinate indicates pressure. This line is for the atmospheric pressure. Now let's consider pressure on this line. If we measure the pressure from the 0, absolute 0, then it will become absolute pressure. And if we measure the pressure on this point from the atmospheric pressure, then it will become the gauge pressure. Thus, the absolute pressure will become sum of the atmospheric pressure and the gauge pressure. Students, different units of pressure are: first, SI unit is Newton per meter square. Second, Pascal, abbreviated as PA. 1 PA is equal to 1 Newton per meter square. 1 kilopascal is equal to 10 raised to power 3 Pascal. Third unit is bar. 1 millibar is equal to 10 raised to power minus 3 bar. 1 bar is equal to 10 raised to power 5 Pascal. 1 millibar is equal to 10 raised to power 2 Pascal. Fourth unit, pounds per square inch, PSI. Fifth, torr. 6th unit, millimeter of Hg, millimeter of mercury. Standard atmospheric pressure has a value of 101.325 kilopascal, that is equals to 101.325 pascal, that is equals to 760 mm of Hg, that is approximately 1 bar, that is approximately 15 psi. All these values are absolute values. Students, now let's discuss about pressure measurement. In practice, pressure is always measured by measuring the pressure difference, that is difference between the unknown pressure and known pressure, in terms of difference in the height of liquid columns. Now let's talk about manometer. Manometer is a device for measuring fluid pressure. It works on hydrostatic balance principle. This principle states that the pressure at any point in a fluid at rest is equal in all directions and its value is just the weight of the overlying fluid. Suppose this is a column of fluid. This fluid is at rest. The pressure at this point is equal in all directions. The value of the pressure is weight of the overlying fluid. In a manometer, a column of a suitable liquid is arranged such that the height difference between its two ends indicates the difference in pressure at the two ends. It consists of a bent tube containing one or more liquids of different densities. These liquids can be water, oil, or mercury of known densities. A known pressure, which may be atmospheric, is applied to one end of the manometer tube, and the unknown pressure, which is to be determined, is applied to the other end of the manometer. The top of the column where known pressure is applied may be open, exposing it to atmospheric pressure, or the column may be sealed and evacuated. Manometers that have open columns are usually used to measure gauge pressure, and manometers with sealed columns are used to measure absolute pressure and vacuum. When a manometer is connected to a source of which pressure is to be measured, the liquid in the column will rise and fall according to the pressure of the source. To determine the amount of pressure, it is necessary to know the type of liquid in the column, its density, and the height of the liquid. The reference liquid in the column of a manometer will affect how much it rises or falls in response to pressure. The formula for calculating the unknown pressure is P equals to rho Hg, where P is pressure in Newton per meter square, rho is density of fluid in the manometer in kilogram per meter cube, H is height difference, that is in meter or in inch, then J is acceleration due to gravity, that is 9.81 meter per second square or 32.174 inch per second square. Students, thank you very much for watching this video lecture. In the next part of this online lecture series on flow of fluids, we shall study various types of manometers. Students, kindly subscribe to the channel Pharmalife Academy if you haven't subscribed to it earlier. Now, let's meet in the next lecture. Till then, enjoy your study.